Okay, so for this question, we're going to do a partial fraction decomposition. Our first step is to write this as 1 over x minus 3 x plus 1. We just factored the bottom. Then what we're going to do is we're going to start to decompose it. We're going to write it as a over x minus 3 plus b over x plus 1. Our next step is to solve for a and b. So how do we do that? First, what we're going to do is we're going to combine the fractions here using the LCD. Our LCD is going to be x minus 3 times x plus 1. So this here is going to need an x minus 3. And whatever you do to the bottom, you do to the top. And this here is going to need an x plus 1. And whatever you do to the bottom, you do to the top. Now, okay, so before we actually solve for a and b, I want to point out one thing. Here when we have 1 on the top, it's the same thing as saying 0x plus 1. And we'll see why that's important in a second. That's going to help us solve for a and b. But for right now, let's distribute the terms here and rewrite everything. So we have ax plus a plus bx minus 3b. And that's going to be equal to 0x plus 1. All I did was distribute here on the top. So I did ax plus a, bx minus 3b. Our next step is to get the constants with the constants and the x's with the x's. Watch what I mean by that. This here has an x, this here has an x. And we're going to set that equal to the x. We're going to pull out an x from here and here. We're going to be left with a plus b x. And that's going to be equal to 0x. So what we see here now is that a plus b has to equal 0. The constant before the x has to equal the constant before the x. So that's going to be our first equation. A plus b is equal to 0. Our second equation, we're going to set the constants equal to the constants. What do I mean by that? So we're going to take our green and set it equal to the green. We're going to have a minus 3b is equal to 1. So now we have two equations and two unknowns. That means we could use some form of substitution or solving in terms of one variable, any method you want to solve for a and b. Let's solve for a and b now. Taking the first equation, we could see that a is equal to minus b. What we could do is now substitute into the second equation, and we get minus b minus 3b is equal to 1. All I did was substitute here into there. We're left with minus 4b is equal to 1. That means b is equal to minus 1 over 4. And since a is equal to minus b, a is equal to 1 over 4. Okay, so here we solve for a and b. Now we're going to plug back into here. We're going to rewrite this as 1 over 4 over x minus 3, and we're still taking the integral. We haven't integrated yet, plus a minus 1 over 4 x, oh sorry, that's a plus 1, x plus 1. Okay. We're going to integrate each one of these separately. We could pull out the constant and integrate. Let's do the first one. It's going to be 1 over 4 ln of x minus 3 in absolute values. Now for the next one, we're going to pull out the constant, which is minus a quarter, and integrate 1 over x plus 1, which comes out to be ln of x plus 1. Now this answer here doesn't match any of the answer choices, plus c. Doesn't match any of the answer choices. So what we're going to do is we're going to pull out a 1/4, and we're going to be left with ln of x minus 3 minus ln of x plus 1. Our final step to get the answer is going to be 1/4. We're going to use the rules of logarithms. Subtraction is going to mean divide. So it's going to give us our answer of ln of x minus 3 over x plus 1 in absolute values, and plus c since this is an indefinite integral.